Right, hello. I'm James. I'm the guest MC for the Vinyl Vandals tonight, and I'm here with just below me is
Riddler,
Riddler.
resident DJ for the Vinyl Vandals. Hello, how's everybody doing? Back again.
When's your show on Tri Radio, Riddler?
Oh yes, we do the Vinyl Vandals hip hop show Monday, 8 p.m. Tri Radio. It's on the
Excellent.
Mixler app.
Nice. And well, guest, but also regular Vinyl Vandal. Next to me is.
Yeah, my name's Fred Swadwat during the day, but at night I go by the name of King Fred. And I'm a Vinyl Vandal. I'll just tell you a little bit about the Vinyl Vandals. We like to do, we like to go to gigs together. There's four of us. There's me, King Fred. There's DJ Riddler, who's below us here, and then there's John and Julie. So we like to go to gigs from the country. We'll have a little Facebook group called the Hip Hop Hotline. When we hear there's a group on or a rapper on or whatever, we just jump in the car, buy tickets, jump in the car and fly down to see them, or we'll go and stop overnight if it's in London. As Riddler said, we've got the DJ slot every Monday night on MixLR, Tri Radio, which is hosted by MixLR app. And then we also do this as well, which is the Trainer Detective, which is with my son, Fathead Asher, who's an affiliate of the Vinyl Vandals. And we like to go and snoop around people's houses and look at what their trainer collection is. And we do lots of other things, like we like to go and put shows on. We've recently been to Darlington, to James's place at the Forum and stuff like that. So that's us. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for inviting me to interview you today, Fred. I'm looking forward to seeing what your favourite five are. First of all, when I did mine, I went UK, and Riddler, you did, what was yours again? Remind us.
Mine was USA.
USA, that's right. Fred, first question is, before you tell us what you've gone with, USA or UK, how did you get into hip hop? What was your way in?
So for me, music's always been around my house. For those who don't know, I always mention this, but it's because I'm proud of it. My uncles, my dad's two of my dad's younger brothers were in a band called OCBSA. So I've watched them go and went down to London and watched them record before, and seen famous people walk around in the corridors of the recording studios, which just seemed to be like, part of life to me. Watching them jump out the vans, as black Afro hippies back in the 70s, with VW van, lots of smelly, funny stuff coming out the van, and just generally, my dad's got a massive record collection, my brother's got a massive record collection, my sisters have. Do you know what I mean? It's always been around. It's just music. I find it weird when people aren't into music. The music's always been around. But then you want to rebel a bit. So my dad used to listen to African music like Ghana High Life, and like Juju music, like stuff from Nigeria as well, like Fela Kuti and King Sunny Ade and people like that. But also old funk, so James Brown. Every Sunday after church, when we came back from church, my dad would clear the settee and you'd teach you how to slide like James Brown and all of that. And that was like what we'd do before what Sunday dinner was put out. So it's just always been around. And then so I wanted to rebel, and racism was rife at the time when I was coming up as well. And the people that were speaking against racism were like reggae artists. So I started getting into sort of the rebel music, because they were like basically sticking two fingers up to the establishment and also speaking against racism. And at the same time, there was also punk bands coming out like The Clash, who were also speaking against racism. So, for me, it was like, well, I've got to listen to this kind of music because they're talking about what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean? And then from that, just as I'm a little bit younger than when punk, the true punks were a bit older than me. But by the time punk was just sort of dying off and you had your new wave, so I was listening to The Clash, and then people like Killing Joke and Theatre of Hate and Spear of Destiny. And just as that was changing, and also still listening to reggae and toasting and all of that was coming out as well. And then the two-tone came out. And then also when two-tone was out, like the Specials and the Beat, I used to like the Specials and the Beat. at that same time, I started hearing this stuff coming out of America, and it was like tapes that my cousin came one time. Shout out to Big Kev. He came and he had tapes of like stuff from America and stuff, and it was like the stuff where people were like sort of like rapping on the mic, which was very similar to what I've been hearing about the Jamaican stuff, which was like you know, like U-Roy and people like that I was starting to listen to as well. My brother used to listen to Big Youth and people like that, and they were sort of like, they were chatting on the mic over a reggae beat, and then all of a sudden there was this stuff where it was a lot more, and it makes us laugh now because at the time I was listening to it and thinking this is great. My dad said, you know, used to say, "What's that noise?" And then come in and say, they're using James Brown next to you. What do you know? Go away. Because he was banging to James Brown, and he was right. You know what I mean? They were playing the music that I'd brought up on, and they were like putting it, they were rapping over the top of it. So yeah, that's sort of like my introduction into hip hop. Really, like it was like the tapes from America, and then just trying to scramble for stuff. And I've got family in London, so going out to London, and they seem to be, you know, having it on lock. I never went to Covent Garden or anything, but places like Battersea, Brixton, these types of places, you know, there was stuff going on there where you'd see people rapping and stuff like that, and later on they became people that I started buying records. You know, but that was the early stages of them rapping and stuff, and it's just, you know, some of them I didn't even know their names. I just saw them, and then think, I recognise him. Where do I recognise him from? When I've seen them on a record cover, and it's because I saw them when they were first starting off, when they were youngsters. You know,
fantastic.
And that's it, really. Yeah.
So what was your first rap record that you bought?
First rap record, like I say, I couldn't really afford it as well. You know, late 70s, early 80s, I left school and went straight on the dole. Couldn't get a job.
Right.
So I couldn't afford stuff, you know what I mean? It was like, you'd have to ask for it as a Christmas present or a birthday present.
Yeah, yeah.
You're lucky if you got it. So a lot of my stuff was on TDK. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Anybody remembers the old pencil in the spool and the twisting around? You know? So a lot of my stuff was on tapes. It was tapes that I got from markets, tapes that my cousin brought us. The first one that I remember buying, it was something probably like Grandmaster Flash or something like that I actually bought with my own pennies. I used to have like a paper round as well, and what I used to do, I used to go into this paper shop. That's where I used to get my punk records from, and what they used to do is sell jukebox records.
Oh, right, okay.
Where the scent had been taken out because he's playing a jukebox. So that same paper shop, after I'd stopped doing paper rounds, obviously got too old for that, I'd go in there and similar records, and I think I got like something like Grandmaster Flash, or maybe it was Rapper's Delight or something like that. I can't remember, but what I do remember is actually seeing them for the first time and being totally shocked, because like, I was listening to this music, I was like, oh, this is great, and then seeing them, like the way they're dressed, I was like, they've got feather boas on, and they've got, you know what I mean? That was my ignorant times. I'm not like that now. But,
and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it was my ignorant time, and I was like, well, actually, they look, you know, quite effeminate to me, and like, I'm not like that now. I've got to stress that. But at the time, I was like, I can't. It doesn't go with the music, you know what I mean? Because there wasn't a visual sort of like demonstration of what it looked like, you know. And when I saw like African Bambaataa, when I saw the Furious Five, they looked like Village People. So I was like, actually, that looks like the Village People, and the Village People are corny and cheesy, and they look corny and cheesy. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't until I started seeing pictures on cassettes of people breakdancing and all of that type of stuff. I thought, well, I can get with that. They've got the trackies on, and you know what I mean. My first pair of trainers were Adidas Kicks. Me and my mates used to wear them. They used to wear them and go to like football matches, go away matches and stuff. I was never allowed to go to away matches because of the racism and stuff. But Adidas Kicks and Levi jeans and Lee jeans. We used to wear Lee jeans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that was like the sort of the start of like me getting into that kind of, you know, like fashion as well. Because before that, punks dressed down, although it became a uniform. Yeah. You could buy the uniform from places like a shop in town called Fairs. But before that, you know what I mean? Like this was at the same time as well. You remember when the soccer casuals were starting to come along as well. So there was a sort of like everybody started dressing up a bit like mods. Do you know what I mean? Like even if you're wearing the tracksuit, which was seen as sort of like leisure wear, you had to be still crisp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Crisp, as you say, looking crisp. You had to be crisp. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Excellent. Right, thank you for that. Great introduction. So tell us, are you going UK or are you going US today?
Well, I thought about this long and hard, and I've really, honestly, it's really stressed us out.
Yeah, well, you put me and Riddler through it, so thanks. So, it's your turn now. So
definitely, it's not easy at all. It's actually not really easy at all. And I found a cop out of thinking, well, actually, because there wasn't as much released in the UK, it was easier for it to go UK than it was to go USA. because
Right.
USA for me is just, it's too massive. So you know, I know Riddler a few weeks ago did it, and I didn't envy his task when I first started trying to do it. I've been doing it today, actually, trying to pick my USA, which I will come back to at another time and show you my USA, but it'll probably change about 10 times before that day comes. So I
Well,
definitely went UK today.
yeah, UK, excellent. Well, yeah. Like well, after I did mine, which was UK, and then you said, you know, you'd invite me back sometime to the US. Yeah, you've already put the kibosh on a couple of records, which I'll put through anyway because I can't do them.
But why can't you do them? Why can't you do them, James?
Well, one of them I asked for was Rhyme Syndicate's Coming Through, which is but you're telling me I can't do a compilation, even though it's a record label and it's all the same people on the, it's not like it's come from all different places, but you're a hard man. So that's the problem. I'm glad that you found this quite difficult as well to
Well,
choose.
it is, but I think it's easy to go compilation because I could for UK I could have just went Hard as Hell and just got quite a few different things on there, but it's not, you know, to me it's not,
fair enough.
It's cheating.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. So when me and Riddler did it, we didn't sort of choose our number one we just chose about 5 favorite albums. Have you done the same, or have you chosen
sort of? What I would say is this is the 5 that I've said, right, okay, I have to, and that's why I sent it to them the other day and said, right, that's what I've got. I'm not going to change it again. I nearly got in touch with you today and said I'm changing it, and I had to sit on my hands and say no, keep off that phone.
Okay.
So what I've done is I picked 5, and I've got 1 at the summit of the 5. So I would say
okay. So we'll do that one last.
We'll do that one last because it'll make sense why I picked that one. But the other 4 are right are like sort of like that, so they're all all equal. There's not one. So if I pick the first one, I just want to stress it's not less important than the others. Yeah.
No. Okay. No, quite understand. All right. Well, let's crack on then, and let's have your first choice. Where are you going?
I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to put my hand down here, and whatever comes up, comes up. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come up with this one first, which is, can we see that?
Yeah, Silent Eclipse.
Silent Eclipse, aka MCD.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you've got this first one, because this is when you sent me your 5.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know that, you know, what you had in advance, so I could ask you some questions about them, etc.
Yeah.
This is, and I said to you, this is an album I didn't even know.
Right. Okay.
Never ever, nothing has come into my area. The fact that I know about this, I just knew nothing about Silent Eclipse.
Okay.
And I've looked into him and I've listened to some stuff. Very hard to try and stream this album or to try and find it to listen to. So it must be quite a rare album as well.
It's a very rare album. He's had lots of singles. He's been very sporadic with his recording.
Yeah.
And actually, Silent Eclipse was more than just him, but what I gather. So the rapper on Silent Eclipse is MCD, but I think it was sort of like he sort of tried to make it into like a sort of like a posse type thing, like a crew.
Right. Okay.
Okay. But he is seen as the main one. He's like, it's MCD, you know. MCD, Silent Eclipse, whatever you want to call it. And by all accounts, when I hear other people, and even Rodney P's got a song where he actually says, so Rodney P from London Posse, and Rodney P is a solo artist, he's got a song where he feels nobody more than he feels MCD. As in, you know, that's who he really was bumping and believes in, you know. And I feel the same. He's heavy. He's heavy.
Yeah, from what I've heard, this album came out in '95.
Yeah.
So it was it's very much. I personally think he sounds quite US. I think he does. I think he's got a very gritty voice as well. From what the bits I've heard, he's extremely political.
Very.
Very political. So what drew you to this album? How did you come about this album?
Right. So going to London, I think, is one thing as well. And I think you hear snippets when you go to sort of like when you go to. I used to go to places like there's a place that my sister used to take us. I can't remember. So the one place was a place called the Fridge in Brixton.
Yeah.
The bars on Atlantic Road, and Some places, there's a place called Granaries and different places anyway. Great Grannies was in Croydon. And you just go to these places and you know, I used to go, one of the best places to hear music and you have to write it down, you know, this before Shazam, was the Barbers. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You wouldn't know that nowadays, but I used to go to the Barbers, you know. I used to have a high top and, you know, I had dreads. I've had lines in my hair. I used to have all that kind of crack. And you go in there and you just sit and soak up the crack. So going to a Barbers in black communities is an experience in itself. So it's like going to a community centre.
Right, okay.
I went not so long, a few years back to take my dad to get his hair cut because we were down in London, and there's people just walking in, getting a bottle of beer, or a can of beer, sitting down and drinking, not even taking up the seats. I had my dad, and I was like getting really angry. I thought, I'm going to kick off with these, like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. They looked a bit shifty, you know, but I was getting quite hot-headed about it. In the end, I was giving them the look and thought, oh, uncle, do you want to sit? So they let them sit down, because they were just coming out to drink beer. Drink Guinness,
right, okay.
International, what do you call it? I forgot what it's called now. Not the Guinness that you get here. It's called like International Guinness or something it's called anyway. Something like that. Go and get the Guinness or whatever, like some kind of stout or some spirit. Sit. It's like a bar.
Right, okay.
Sit there and drink. Crack onto the bar, watch the football or whatever's on telly, then nick off out. And there's only about 3 people ever getting a haircut.
Is it like a scene from Coming to America then?
Very much like that. Oh, you seen Barbershop?
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's like a busier version of Barbershop with more people in. There's people walking in there selling you tapes, and that's why I used to go and get my tapes from. You go in there and get tapes, CDs. Right. Do you know what I mean? You go and get baseball caps, copies. You know what I mean? Do you want to buy these trainers? Nice. Anything you want. Meat. People walking selling lamb chops. All kinds of crack. So that's where I used to get my hip hop information from. When I was in London. You know what I mean? And I'd go in there and one time I was in there and I heard this. I was like, what's this? And then I was like, oh, this is MCD. You don't know. And I was like, then I got this compilation CD and it had a song on with MCD on. I can't remember which song it was by MCD now, to be honest. But anyway, then I had to hunt this out. I had to have this. I think I got it on tape first, and then I got it on CD, and then I finally got it on vinyl. And it's just heavy.
It is. You know, what I've heard. Yeah, I'd agree.
But he's, you know, I've seen interviews since where he's actually apologized and said he was angry at the time, angry with different people, and some of the stuff came out like that. He didn't want to become across too angry. He still want to get his political stance across and that, but he didn't always want to be seen as being really angry all the time type of thing, you know.
He proper laid into the government as well, from what I've been looking into. You've got into John Major and all sorts of stuff, you know.
John Major. He's got a song on there called Policing as a Tool. They wonder why they use policing as a tool, because most of them used to get bullied at school. That's a line from there. He's got one in your body and one in your head, which is like a ragga hip hop track, where one in your body and one in your head. The government just want to fill you full of lead. He's talking about John Major letting poor people starve. Why do you let the black people starve? You let your own people starve. You even let them die in Bosnia. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, letting people just die in Bosnia and you didn't do anything to help. I mean, really laying into people. He's got a song on there called Government Piss Off. Yeah.
I heard that one today.
You can't get much more than that about that. No. You know, Best of Slavery, which is a song about, like, basically, you know, how the British Empire was the best of slavery. They were experts at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can go on and on about MCD.
He could bring it out today. He could bring it out now. Tomorrow, it'd be relevant.
Definitely. He's got a song called What You're Gonna Do, which is what you're gonna do when the blacks get strong. It's all over. So basically saying, you know, a lot of the time people are worried about not giving black people equal rights, because if they do, they're going to be scared in case they get revenge. You know what I mean? That just just very, very political. Very, very, you know.
So let me ask. There you go. Riddler's got one as well. Was that a 12?
12, yeah.
Don't judge the book by the cover.
Oh, right, okay. Well, so let me ask this question, if you don't mind me asking you this one, Fred. You know, being a black man in the Northeast, and then you're listening to something as hardcore as that.
Yeah.
What was your? How was it for you in '95 when you were listening to something like that, and you know, living in the Northeast?
I think I'm lucky. Lucky, unlucky, whatever way you want it to. I think I was lucky that I had the respite to be able to go to London and be around people that weren't always calling his names. And do you know what I mean? Because it's a double edge sometimes living in Newcastle. You've got being brought up and being around and having white friends, which is great. I've got white friends. You know, majority of my friends are white. But some of my friends over the years have always let me know that I'm black, and what I mean by that is that, you know, my mum always wonders about this. Funny enough, she always used to say, don't always be too close to some people, because they'll let you down one day and let you know that actually you're not welcome here and you're not the same as them. And they will, you know, to don't always think that every single person's your friend. And she's been so right about that. I think there's been incidents like where we've had the Black Lives Matter stuff. We've had the incident where poor soldier got killed. Then all of a sudden overnight, some of my so-called friends that I've known since I was 5-year-old were like, get the black so-and-sos all out the country, kill them all, do this and that. And it's like, whoa, hang on a second. But black who? All of the black people? Who are you talking about? So I think people like selling the clips remind me who I am. Right. You know what I mean? And also remind me that, you know, I think some people can also, I think it's the same with some of the UK, US artists as well. You can take too much of it and say, right, okay, he's racist, he doesn't like white people. And I don't believe that's the case. I think he's just pointing some things out. He's holding a mirror to people's faces and saying, have a look. You might walk around and say that you're right on and say you've got some black friends, but as soon as something happens, you're blaming all black people. So it's all black people are this, all Jews are that, all Pakistanis are this, all Muslims are that. It's like, well,
so yeah, talking a lot of stereotypical things then, really.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So for me, it's sort of like just, it's stuff that I was feeling, and sometimes you can't always vent it or be able to articulate yourself very well, but people like this guy, articulate that really, really well. So, you know, I rate him. I think he's really good. Unfortunately,
is he still going around now? What's going on with him now?
Unfortunately, I've delved into, and I've spoken to a couple of people that are, you know, in the rap scene down in London that I get to talk to, some well-respected rappers who told me that he's had mental health problems.
Right.
And I've seen some of that sometimes on some of his videos. And I know there's one interview that I read just not so long ago where he was rambling on saying that the Nation of Islam had tried to murder him and the government had tried to murder him, and, you know, like just gone off on one where it's just a bit of a shame, you know. He's a producer, he plays cello, he plays piano, you know, a lot of things that people don't know about him. You know, you look at him and you think, oh, straight from the streets, and, you know, probably all he can do is rap, but no, he's good on production. He can play a lot of, he's a multi-instrumentalist as well. But apparently he's had some mental health issues, and apparently at the moment he's in some institution, and that's where he is. He's not.
Oh, what a shame.
That's the last I heard. Don't know if that's true, but I respect some of the people who've told us. So it's
well, we wish him well, and hope he comes through. So okay.
He was due to bring another album out, but he didn't. So yeah.
Was that his only album then?
That's his only album. He was due to bring another album out a few years back, and it never. I think about 5 years ago, and it's not happened. I think that's where the mental health he's went up.
That's funny, isn't it? Because, you know, I had really, you know, I had said about Silver Bullet on my one, and the fact that, you know, there was problems with him, and second album didn't come out as well. So there seems to be a few of them where he doesn't get past that first debut album, which is a real shame, because there's some of these people obviously got fantastic rhyming skills, amazing lyrics, but they don't seem to just take it further and don't sort of push it, and it's a shame.
Well, also when I speak to some of these rappers that I've had the privilege to be able to talk to as well, the money's not there. So they're sitting on a lot of material that they don't want to bring out because they'll not make any money off it. So they're always waiting until some record label comes and puts some money into them so they can bring. So they've got albums there, they're sitting on the shelves, but they can't actually bring them out because they're not going to make any money. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my time putting that out, which I think is a bit of a shame. And if you look at the British hip hop, that's why I said it was a bit easier to do, because there's not many of them get past the first or maybe the second album. If you think of some of the top artists that everybody seems to like generally in UK hip hop, there's not many of them done more than 2 albums. One's mainly the case. If you think right the way through to some of the top
very
ones,
true.
They've only done 1 or maybe 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect time actually to sort of just follow up on something that weird that happened after my one, is the fact that the video that we did for my 5 UK hip hops, I actually got a call. Can't remember how long was it, about 4 or 5 days later, something like that, on Facebook Messenger from MCM, from Caveman. He actually rang me on Facebook Messenger to talk about the fact that we had talked about Caveman and things like that. And he was telling, I had a good old chat with him for a good half an hour or so. And he was telling me, you know, just to follow up on what you just said, is the fact that, you know, he's got the stuff there.
Yeah.
And it's just getting it out and trying to push it. And you can just keep it completely independent, but you find that it's a struggle for one person as one rapper to try and push themselves and to, you know, have a job and to do this as, you know, and to do this as well as a part-time. And it's a real shame because some of these people have just got some fantastic beats and some, you know, fantastic rhymes to sort of spit, but it's a shame that they don't sort of get anything else out, really.
No doubt.
Well, one question I need to ask you for every album: what's your favourite track on the album?
Nearly forgot.
Come on.
You get so engrossed in talking about it.
All right.
I actually think any song on here could have been it, but obviously I have to pick it down to one. So I will go with Best of Slavery.
Best of Slavery, right? Okay, right.
But I could have quite easily picked a few others as well. But yeah, Best of Slavery.
Yeah. You know what the Vinyl Vandals should do is the fact that you should. No, darling.
Night.
Night. One thing the Vinyl Vandals should do is they should release a Spotify playlist with all the favourite tracks.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Come on.
I'm on it. Don't you worry about that.
Go on, boy. Excellent.
So, Fred, why is it your favourite track?
Why is it? Well, like I said, I could have picked any of them because I think the Best of Slavery just talks about the fact that, you know, when racists are bleating on about, you know, they've got no right to be in the country, they're coming to steal our jobs, they're doing this, they're doing that. It's like, hang on a second, you were the best of slavery as well, you know, when you're talking about Great Britain and that.
Yeah.
Which, I'm born and bred here, don't get us wrong, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth. You can't just talk about everything that you think's good and nice and that, and try and forget about the stuff that happened, that somebody's done. But none of us are perfect. And, you know, the Best of Slavery is like, you know, some of these people, you know, the Best of Slavery, and they want to call it bravery, and they want to go on about this and that, but you also need to talk about some of the atrocities. When you're talking about other countries' atrocities, also remember that you've done some atrocities as well. I think that's, for me, is like the message there. You can't walk around, you know, you can't walk around and pretend that you haven't got any sort of like crap on your shoes, because you have, you know.
So Riddler,
have you heard MCD's How Many Miles Back to London before?
Don't think so.
That's a good 12.
Okay.
The really good 12. It's one of my favourites, actually.
Okay.
How many Riddler, how many 12 inches have you got of Signing the Clips? Or MCD?
I think I might have about 3.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few. I've got about 5 or 6. I've got quite a few CDs as well, because obviously, you know, I'm not a DJ, so I tend to buy albums. I used to buy albums more than 12 inches, because I can't be asked to keep getting up and listen and keep changing them. So, you know,
I'm more of an album person than 12 inch, to be fair. So, right, thanks for that one. So let's choose. We'll go ahead and show us
number 2, but it's not strictly number 2, if you know what I mean.
There we go.
The second one is This Little Beauty.
Oh.
Okay, the hip hop geezer, Black Twang.
Mr. Rotten.
Tony Rotten himself. Thai Panic. Mr. Black Twang. Mr. Rotten. Rotten Oscar. You can't keep going on. An absolutely mint album for a number of reasons for me. First of all, I remember years ago, I was walking down the street and I saw a guy who used to have who had a clothes shop in Newcastle called Rob. Had Maverick. Riddler, you'll remember him?
Yes.
Yeah. And he said, what you doing? I says, what do you want to do? Just walking around. You know, he says, do you fancy coming to a show tonight? I've got a fashion show at the Riverside, the old Riverside. He says, I've got a fashion show and I've got this geezer on. I goes, what? I says, do I fancy going to that? I'm there. And I tried to get, you know, a lot of my friends weren't into this type of music, you know what I mean? Weren't interested at all. So a lot of these gigs, I didn't go to them in Newcastle. A lot of gigs I used to go to in London, because I could never get anybody to go with us in Newcastle. So I'd go by myself. You always feel a bit like Billy Newman. So I thought, I've given this ticket off Rob to go to this thing. And I went, and it was absolutely amazing. I had a fashion show on, which was all the hip hop gear and that, you know, all the latest hip hop wear. And then obviously Black Twang was on, which I just thought was amazing. And also,
what year was that?
Oh, I can't even remember. It was well before this album, so it would have been.
Had he won his Mobo? Because that was back in '96.
It was well before '96. My son was born in '96, and it was well before Asher was born.
Okay.
I went, you know, my son wasn't born, so it was sometime in the early '90s, if that.
Right.
And I remember going, seeing them and just thinking, this is mint. And I remember I'd heard them on different tapes and stuff. And what I was surprised at is I thought Black Twang was a group.
It sounds like it should be a group.
A group, yeah. And I didn't realise it was
totally.
by itself. And then talking about being Ty Panic, because I thought Ty Panic was one of the rappers in Black Twang.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's that kind of thing again about, like, obviously reading, then you have to read up on people and dig out your magazines and all that type of stuff. You can't just click like, nah, I can talk to you and you can probably tell me, oh, it was on the Riverside and such and such. Do you know what I mean? By just clicking your phone. But you know, you had to, and I think I just remember going to the cinema and thinking, this is absolutely amazing. And then when This Beauty came out, can't remember when this came out now, was it 2000?
2002.
I just split up with my son's mum. No, when I was split with my son's mum. I split with my son's mum about a couple of years before that, I think 2000 or something. And then I got this, and I got it on CD first. And I used to play it in the car, and it's very British. I think that's the thing that I love.
Totally. Yeah.
He's talking about football. He's talking about Arsenal, Martin Keown. You know what I mean? I'm down the pub, mate, and this is happening. You know, like, it's just like, yes. I've got all these rappers, no disrespect to them. They're talking about Americanisms and all of that type of stuff. I know when I'm listening to this, I know what he's talking about. It's not where I'm from, because I'm from Newcastle, but London is my second home because I've got family down there and I'm there a lot. And I know it's a very British thing. Going to a pub is a very British thing. Going to the match, do you know what I mean? It's not basketball. You know what I mean? It's not all of that basketball vests, high dunking, Jordans and all of that. We're talking about going to the match on the terraces. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about being on the train. All of that type of stuff, you know. He's standing there with his sheepskin coat on, like Delbo.
I think the front cover is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's brilliant front cover. Absolutely brilliant.
The coppers. Do you know what I mean? All of that stuff, all of that on the back with a riot shield. I can go on and on and on. That, to me, is just like, you know, and some of the tracks on there, the opening thing, the kick-off, get ready for the kick-off, the whistles blowing and the sirens going and all of that.
Amazing track, that.
And then the other thing was, I used to play it in the car a lot, and my son, Asher, used to love it because he loved all of the football imagery because he's banging to his football, even from being a little kid. And then one day I dropped him off at my dad's house. And I said to my dad, I'll be back soon. I'm just going to town. Oh, why? Oh, just there's a rapper in RPM. When RPM was on the main road in Highbridge. I was going to catch him. And Asher was like, who are you going to see? And I said, oh, Black Twang. Oh, I'm coming. So I had to take Asher because Asher wanted to meet them. So we went, you know what I mean? And all that stuff around, like, there's one on there, he's skitting about being Nigerian. He's of Nigerian descent, and Ola Jabal, and trying to get his passport and his visa, trying to get through customs and all of that. It's stuff that goes on in a lot of, like, sort of like immigrant houses. Do you know what I mean? When you're talking about, like, getting hassle off immigration when you're trying to get through the country and all of that, you can relate to it all. It's very British, immigrant, British, black, white. You know, everybody can relate to it because you can dip into that and you know where you are. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? I listened to the album, I think it was a couple of days ago, and there's 3 tracks right in the middle which I'd totally forgotten because they weren't. I don't think there were singles or anything like that, but as far as I can remember. But they're strong as hell, and it starts off with Firepower. Yeah. Goes into Half and Half, and then to Vow, and those 3 tracks. Yeah, it's just powerful, and the beats were fantastic, and I was like absolute killer tunes. But yeah, I don't think there's a Duff track on the whole album.
No, there's not. The track I didn't used to like, but I do like it more now. So I think it's because it got played to death. Was Trickster. I thought it just went on a bit.
With Estelle.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
I like it again now. I fell back in love with it and that. But at the time, I think it got played on like, you know, was on like MTV and that quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? Which was quite unusual for a British, you know, artist.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm back in love with it now. But yeah, nearly every single track on there I absolutely love. You know.
And of course, he went on to do Kingdom as well with Rodney P and Ty.
Without a doubt. And
massive.
When we're talking also about artists, another reason why obviously you've got loads of respect for him is because he's one of the only British artists, that's consistently brought out albums.
Yes, true.
You know,
he's just been solid. Yeah, agreed.
You had the first one, I can't remember, is it Network?
Network Southeast.
Then he had 19 Long Time. Then he had Kickoff. Then he had, I think, the Rotten Club or whatever it's called.
Had he won a Mobo before his? I know the Mobo was 96. He hadn't released an album by then, had he? I didn't release single.
He had 2 albums out, didn't he? He had
yeah, but I don't think by then. What, in 96?
I think
or maybe his first one had just come out. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he started releasing records like on vinyl in 95, I think.
Yeah.
Because you had like Queen's Heads.
Queen's Heads, which is a classic, absolute classic. Very British, Queen's Head, British. Talking about money, you know.
It's the name of a pub, isn't it? Do you know?
Yeah. We're obviously talking about money, Queen's Head, to have head in your pocket is to have money in it. So it's just that kind of like all of that.
Nice.
Red Letters, remember that one?
Yeah.
And these are all I've got. I'm just looking at them on Discogs now, but I've got them all. Trying to think. Yeah, you got your Network Southeast as well. So yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. So, what's your favourite track on it then? Because, like we just said, there's some cracking tunes.
Well, I'm going to go. It's a nice, easy one to be able to pick. I mean, I know you. For instance, you shouldn't really like Dirty Stop Out because it's really.
Oh, it's fun though. It's funny.
but
funny.
But the wordplay between the two of them, you know, the way they're going back to back with each other is just really, really good. But I've got to go with So Rotten.
Right. Okay.
Because me and Ash, I used to bang that to death. Ash, I used to say, play it again. Dad played it again. And we just keep playing it. And then even my nephew used to come from London. And he, look, this is great, because he's an Arsenal fan as well. He's a yellow and Arsenal. There's little kids in the car and they'd love it. And I had to keep spinning that. I sickened myself playing it so much because of them as well.
Fantastic.
You know? But I loved
Fantastic.
It. Yeah,
good tune.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It also gets a lot of airplay on the radio still. That one. It is. It's like it's a hardcore, but it's a crossover track.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's good.
Excellent.
Good choice. Good choice.
Let's crack on with number 3 then. So what else have you got?
Well, I can't have that one because that's not the one I can have. So I will go with this one.
I think I know what your number 1's going to be. I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me knows what it should be. If you know me, you know it's going to be. But I'm going for this one next.
Black Radical that too. Right. Okay. Cool.
Class.
Okay.
Very much in the vein of MCD for me.
Silent Eclipse. Yeah.
But it's not as sort of like MCD was like is rougher around the edges. Where this is very he's another one who disappeared and came back, then disappeared again, and then apparently he's living in another country. Nobody even knows where he is now. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what made me think that both Black Radical and Silent Eclipse, they're both quite boring front covers.
Do you think?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I know Silent Eclipse has got the quote bits on the front and whatever, but I think they're just a bit boring. Where Black Twang, you look at those 3 that you've just chosen, okay? Yeah. Black Twang, what a cracking front cover.
I agree. But,
right?
But for me, I get where you're coming from. But you see, when you see this, you know, this reminds me of, and even for that bit there where it says the Leviathan, whatever, that bit there, it's Bible. It looks like Bible. It's like scriptures. It's like, do you know what I mean? I think that's what I got out of it when I first
I suppose, with the front cover, with the black cover, it's like the Black Album by Prince, or Metallica, or AC/DC. It's just a plain black cover.
I don't know about any of them people. I don't know about any of them people you just mentioned. But for me, I just think he was trying to get a message across that this. He means this.
Yeah.
This is like biblical. Do you know what I mean?
Remind me, does that album have Monsoon on it? I don't think it does it?
Not Monsoon on. No.
Right, okay. That was just, I think that was before, but that's a classic.
I think Monsoon comes out after this. I can't remember which way around it was.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Crossroads is on it, isn't it?
Crossroads
is on it.
Classic.
Harmonica on that is just absolutely outstanding. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, this again, in the same sort of vein as Silent Eclipse, very political.
Yeah.
Okay, the year of this one was 91, I think, 1990, 91.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his views were, they got a lot of angry reaction, so much so that the record label dropped him as well after this.
Yeah.
Again, let's go back to the question I'd asked you previously.
Yeah.
This was before Silent Eclipse.
Yeah.
So you were 4 years younger as well as.
Yeah.
How did you feel listening to something like this in the early 90s?
I've got to say it. Yeah, some parts I was like, ooh, So obviously, one of the tracks on here is talking about black guys who go out with white women, for instance. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Not the only ones that have covered that. Other artists, American ones as well, have covered it. It's his views. I think this is also the thing as well. I've got friends with some strange views. I've got friends who will tell me to vote Conservative. Okay. To some people I know some people that's a definite no. Could I marry somebody who votes Conservative? No, I couldn't. That's the honest truth. Do you know what I mean? The reason why I'm bringing that up is the thing is because we're also, it doesn't stop us being friends with some people. It depends how far your politics go, I suppose, or your beliefs go. When it goes to the point where it's like, well, actually, I can't even sit in the same room as you because actually you've gone so far one way, then that's where, for me, he has some views that he believed in. I've got people that I know who maybe don't believe in that, but it depends how they put them across. If it's sort of like violent, angry, and horrible, and disrespectful to people, then for instance, I've got family who are really devout Christians. My family in the main are Catholic. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And believe in, even though they're a bunch of hypocrites, because most of them have had sex before marriage, but that's another story for another time. They pick and choose their religion. But there's sometimes, the question about, say, homosexuality, but they're not nasty with it, as in they just think actually that's what they believe about in their book. I don't agree with them, and I tell them I don't agree with them, and I tell them why I don't agree with them, but they're not nasty with it, as in, are they sometimes some of my family believe they should only marry Ghanaians? They think that, to keep their lineage going and all of that.
Right, okay.
I have to respect that. But they're not saying that you're wrong because you've married somebody who's not Ghanaian. Do you see what I mean? And I think it depends where somebody goes with what they say. And I'll give you a classic example of that. I was driving my car, got some of my friends in the car, and I've got some of my music on, and I say the N-word every other song. I think it was probably NWA or something like that, some really ignorant rap stuff on at the time. And they're talking about women being this and women being that, and maybe some homophobic stuff in there. I can't remember, but I'm just trying to put a picture of like, no issue at all, never said a thing.
To be fair, it does sound like NWA, so yeah. Carry on.
As soon as they said something about white people, which wasn't even that, all it was saying was like, you white people treat us so bad or something like that. Whoa, what's he kind of white people for? I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. You've been in my car half an hour. You don't mind them using the N-word. You don't mind them talking about women in a certain way, and you don't mind them saying lots of other things. But as soon as they say something about white people, you've got something to say. It's like you pick and choose. That's where I'm coming from. For me, it's
okay.
Like,
well, that leads me on, actually, because there's a song on there called Sign of the Beast.
Yes.
Now, it brings up quite a few things with like Nation of Islam and stuff like that, with Yaqub, and how the fact that the black man genetically experimented and took 600 years to create the white man.
No, that's the wrong way around. It's Yaqub.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yaqub.
Yaqub, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know.
Yaqub. Yeah, so he's this scientist who died at the age of 159 years old or whatever it was. Yeah. But the fact that, so I mean, again, that can't happen. But, there's all these things about how genetically experimenting and stuff like that create the white man. And he put all this on his album.
Yes.
And he was talking about it. So I can see why he created a lot of angry reaction with this album.
But again, the reason why I was bringing that topic up about driving in the car with my friends and all of that is because the record company mainly dropped them because he was talking about record companies ripping people off, ripping up these.
Right, okay, right, fair enough, right, okay. So nothing to do with that at all then, really? Okay, right, fair enough.
But there was a lot of controversy. But and I agree with you. There's
So do you think there was a witch hunt for him after this? Then do you think it was sort of like, you know, you've spoken out too loudly and you shouldn't have said these things, and you know, because some of the subjects on some hip hop albums can be pretty harsh,
Yeah,
you know, and sexual and all this sort of stuff. But then to do, you know, to come out with just sort of, you know, he might have believed in Nation of Islam and all this sort of thing, and yeah, you got Professor Griff and the Last Days He Had His Disciples, for example, and they're bringing all that out, and you know, so.
Can I also point out, like, even if you take Professor Griff, Chuck D said some quite interesting things.
Oh, yes, I'm not disputing that, totally.
Brand Nubian have. Wu-Tang have.
Oh, totally.
People forget that. People just, you know, maybe people aren't listening to the lyrics properly. Maybe they're not listening to the lyrics.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, this wasn't in my listening at all. I didn't listen to this album, and so to me it was relatively new. Not as, I mean, I'd heard of Black Radical, but the sign, compared to the Sign the Eclipse one, I just literally hadn't heard about this album at all. But so, you know, you said he was dropped after that, and now he's living somewhere else. No one knows where he is. Or
but he was dropped, but he was picked up by another label, so he brought another album out. I think he's brought
okay.
He brought two more. I've got two of his albums, but I think he brought three out. So he had another one. I can't remember what it's called now. It's got like a mask on the front. I haven't got it on vinyl. I've only got it on CD.
Right.
And I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head now. I can see it in front of us now. But yeah, I think we can go on and on about it. But for me, I'd say the tunes.
Okay.
Right. I don't always listen to every single, because if I listen to every single thing and then took it to heart, a lot of the stuff I listen to would never. That's from a punk and reggae.
No, totally agree.
Hip hop. You know what I mean? I wouldn't listen to a lot of it because I don't agree with it. I don't agree with calling women bitches. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
You know
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? I don't agree with people glorifying drugs. You know what I mean? But people don't pick up on that. People don't talk about the fact that even people talking about smoking weed. You can smoke weed if you want to smoke weed. I don't agree with it. It's not something that I do. Do you know what I mean? So, but a lot of people glorify, you know, people going about Bob Marley and all of that, and he's made albums about smoking weed and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But people want to forget that part, I suppose.
Yeah, and just listen to Three Little Birds.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Me, I love the album.
Interesting fact about Black Radical, and this ties in with one of James's choices as well from last time. Him and Silver Bullet have got the same DJ Mo.
All right, didn't know that.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Oh, there you go.
Nice one.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, for me, love Black Radical. The reason why I'm just going to say this side bit, but the reason why I got into Black Radical is because again through the tapes, it always goes back to that bit. I think it was either I think I got a tape which was somebody gave us a tape and I thought, right, I'm going to get that on CD, which was a Ragga Hip Hop CD, and it had on it. It had Mid-Range from X Posse with Children of the Ghetto, which was a Bob Marley sample, and it had on Ain't No Black in the Union Jack by Black Radical, which basically was basically saying about what the National Front used to always say, what they used to say to football matches, Ain't No Black in the Union Jack. Basically, you know, you shouldn't be in the country because there's no black, there's white in the Union Jack, there's no black. And he made it into a song. And I was like, whoa, who's this guy? I like what he's saying. Yeah, because it was my life experience. Stopped going to the match because of all that crap, and then wanted to check him out. And then I ended up, this is what brought us to this. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, compilations and samplers and, you know, all of those type of things. That, you know,
nice.
That's where I got in going to barber shops and getting CDs and tapes. That's what got into a lot of these groups, you know.
Right, so fantastic.
I would pick 300 Years.
Why?
I just love the sort of like the beat on it. I could pick 300 Years. I could pick Crossroads. I could pick Sign of the Beast. But I'm going to go with 300 Years because I just love the driving beat behind it. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. There's a track from Monday, Riddler.
Yeah.
You need to play that on the next show, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Right, so we're down to two albums.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your last of your four?
Well,
here we go.
This little one here.
Oh, you stumped me. You completely stumped me.
It
I thought that was going to be your number one. I seriously did. Right. Okay.
could have been, but so could the rest of them been. But
Right.
I'll tell you why it's not.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, we can do that later. Okay, cool. Right,
Yeah.
The Brotherhood. Right.
Brotherhood.
So, why have you chosen this album?
You know why I've chosen this album? Because no one ever talks about them, and I just don't get it. They are one of the best bands that hip hop bands that Britain's ever produced, and I don't get it. I speak to people and like, who are they? Because nobody's heard of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I only know about this band because of you.
Because of me, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people.
How long? I've probably known you for what? I'd say about 12 years, maybe something like that. Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it was one of the first albums that we probably spoke about, and I went, don't know it.
Yeah.
I don't know it. And so I've got it now because of you. So I can see why, completely pioneering, without a doubt, as a UK hip hop group.
You know, for me, I always remember this conversation I had with shout out to Barson that I used to do with Mark Barson. Shaw Beats goes for a few different names. He was talking one day and he was going, "No, you probably never heard of them before. This group, we're talking about hip hop and that and British stuff." And he said, "Brotherhood." And I went, "Wow, you know who they are?" I was like, he was like the first person I'd heard who knew about them, and not just knew about them, but could start talking about like some of the songs on albums and EPs and all of that. I was like, wow, because nobody else ever talks about them, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like, what happened? They got a lot of interest from America.
Yeah.
Got in the charts.
They're always on MTV as well. You look up on YouTube. There's loads of MTV bits from them and things like that.
But nobody knows about them, and I don't get that.
Proper gritty as well. Very dark, very London skylines, and
If you look at the sort of album cover, and then obviously the opening line is, pardon, I don't want to offend anybody, but one mixed race, one black, one yid. Do you know what I mean? Describing itself. So one was mixed race, one's Jewish, and one's black. So Mr. Dexter's mixed race, Mr. Spice is black, and Mr. Shylock is Jewish. And they went through a lot of changes over the years. This is the lineup that I know of most. The original lineup of these, none of these were in the group. Funny enough, this is a successful lineup, but they weren't even the original blooming Brotherhood. Apparently.
Oh, right, okay.
No, Shylock wasn't it?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
From the start? From the start?
Yeah, from the start, yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised that means. I'll check that again, but I'm sure he wasn't like from the original lineup from the start of them. But anyway,
look it up and to make sure that I had the right questions for you guys and things like that. But these guys were classed as the saviors of UK hip hop.
Yeah,
right,
and I agree
in
with
95, 96. Didn't really go anywhere, did it? Which is a real shame after this.
Yeah. You know why I think that's true as well, though? Because it's a British sound. It doesn't sound, a lot of, no disrespect, because you listen to music, you love it, so you want to copy it. So you listen to reggae, it comes from Jamaica, you want to make it in the UK. But, that's why I love the Specials, because the Specials did something different with ska. They didn't just go in. Okay. Although they even did a lot of covers, when you listen to a lot of the Specials tunes, it actually isn't even their own. Do you know what I mean? But they did something different with it. Do you know what I mean? They made it British, and they got obviously the element of USA rap music, hip hop, but they've done something different with it.
If you look at where the year they came out, 95, 96, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah.
But it was around about the same time as House of Pain, Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hadn't kicked off and sort of gone with those people, and just become a massive thing.
Yeah, I think if they had the right, I don't know all the ins and outs, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I just think if that had been marketed right and taken to America, I think people in America would have loved them. The blunted out sound, it was very much for the smokers as well, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, very much so. Yeah. It was gritty. Yeah, they love it all over. Yeah, they love that. Yeah.
From start to finish, every single track on here is just absolutely mint.
Yeah, but what's your favourite track, though?
My favourite track on here is, I'm going to go and just say One Shot. Could have been any one
Do you know
shot.
what? I would agree with you.
Yeah,
Totally.
one shot's good.
Yeah, one
cracking.
shot. Just the way that the music comes in and goes out again, and all, I just love it. Absolutely love it. But then I thought stuff like like the British accent when I talking about because it's just like I keep saying, it's British.
Yeah, totally.
Funk, good as well. Funk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Dark Stalkers, great. Yeah, I can go on and on, but I just think it's a mint album, and I think if anybody's watching this and they've never heard of them, go and check them out.
Definitely, highly recommend. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Also, they reminded me of is when you first introduced me to them. It reminded me of Marksman.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Marksman from? I think they're Irish. That's right. Yeah. I mean, okay, they're a little bit more upbeat than the brother, but it sort of reminded me of that sound.
You're right.
The fact that they were trying to stick to those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good. I've never thought of that, but I think you're definitely right on that. Actually,
Again, they should have been so much bigger.
Yeah, they should have been. Yeah,
I loved them. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
So,
what's that album? 45 Revolutions or something? What's it called? The album?
Oh, I've got it as well somewhere.
45 Revolutions or something?
I've only got it on CD though. I haven't got it on album.
I've only got it on CD. Well. It's red. It's a red.
It is. Yeah.
I think I've just got the 12 by them. I haven't got the album.
It's got something called Ships Ahoy or something.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Sinead O'Connor on there, Marksman.
Yeah.
But no, excellent. No, it's good. Yeah, brilliant album. So yeah, definitely go and get that if you haven't heard it, or stream it, or buy it on CD, or do what you need to do. But
I mean, before they came out with that album, they had a 12 out. I think it might have been about 4 years before, 1991. And it's called Descendants of the Holocaust.
Holocaust, yes.
Yeah, Descendants of the Holocaust. So, and it's got a song called Driving on it, and it's like an EP. It's quite hard to get now.
Yeah.
But that's definitely, Shylock is definitely in that.
Yeah, he is.
If he's Jewish, that makes sense as well, doesn't it? I suppose, the title.
But if you go back again, Michael had stuff out before that, and he's not in there, I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah, so if you go back again, they've been around for years, and they've had lots of different lineup changes, and I don't think he was the original member, because that's what I was talking about.
The first time I saw them, there was like a tiny little section in Hip Hop Connection about them. And he was like standing there in a big goose jacket, and it was like,
nice.
It was like 3 times too big for him. And his little head was like that, but and that's what made us buy the first 12. And it's really, really good. Really good.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Excellent. Right. Well, thank you for that one. So here we are. We're coming towards the end. So we're going to show. So here's his #1 album for King Fred.
Anybody who knows me knows it's got to be this one. It can't be anything else. It's got to be. Where are we? There we go.
There we are.
London Posse, Gangster Chronicles.
Posse, yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
1990. So this is golden age of UK hip hop.
Yeah. Actually, I probably listened to Brotherhood album more, but this just means so much more to us.
Right. Why? Why does it mean so much more to you?
So, like I said before, at school, coming out of school, listening to UK. I was listening to punk music and like sort of like reggae music, like getting me Bob Marley and all of that type of stuff. And then started listening to Toast and like General Saint, Clint Eastwood and General Saint and I-Roy and U-Roy and all of these type of people, and loving all of that. Dylan Jack Cocaine on my brain and all of this. And then Big Hero Dynamite came out from that. The Clash were doing stuff like Radio Clash. Then they went into Big Hero Dynamite. Big Hero Dynamite was, their first album came out in '86.
Yeah, E equals MC squared, that sort of era. Yeah.
Medicine Show, and they came to Newcastle. And I was not going to miss the Big Hero Dynamite. And I went to a place called Tiffany's, nightclub. And normally what I used to do was hang around outside and think I was cool with my mates. So some of me punky mates wanted to go because it was Mick Jones from the Clash, and a lot of people hadn't seen the Clash.
Is this the same gig that Schoolie D was at as well?
No, this is the one before that.
Oh, okay, right, right.
So Schoolie D one was at the Mayfair. This was at at Tiffany's in '86,
Right.
and I was 20-year-old. In I go, and I'm in with a lass that I was seeing at the time, a lass called Helen, and we'll go in there. And normally I wouldn't normally go in. I normally go to the bar, or I would go late, like be outside talking to people outside and stuff. But I went in to watch the support acts, and there was a group on called Whistle.
Oh, just
Nice.
Whistle.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
There was a couple of other acts on. I can't remember who they were, but there was also a group on called the London Posse.
really?
Yeah.
Back in '86.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And it actually, the London Posse. It was Sippo. He was the main dude. It wasn't Rodney P. It wasn't Bionic. It wasn't Billy Business.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was.
he started. I know he started London Posse. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So they did a song called "My Beatbox Reggae Style," and it, like, you know, and there we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, and that's what I rushed out and bought. As soon as I saw that, I thought, I have got to have this. I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is absolutely brilliant. I was like, and they've got Cockney accents. Yeah, and they've got yard accents, you know, with a big gold tooth and a cheeky little smile, and there were kids on stage and they were giving it. And I was like, wow, I've got to have a piece of this. This is mint. And that was it for me. Like, I was just like, you know, going down to London, and when you're going down there, people were just rapping, and they were rapping in American accents. No record labels or anything like that. Of course, where everybody was. I used to try and date, couldn't date, terrible. But, you know, try and rap and rap what you were hearing. But these guys were on stage going, my beatbox, reggae style, and all of that, you know what I mean? And whatever it was that they were doing at the time, London, Posse, yeah, all of that, you know what I mean? I was like, this is absolutely mint.
Nice.
And so for me, it was just like, it just blew my mind. We've got people in this country rapping in their own accents and mixing it with a yard style. So the reggae came back. Do you know what I mean? You've got the Clash mixing sort of like the punk with the hip hop, and then you've got the British kids mixing the American sound that they've got with the UK sort of yard style. And that was it. Just
the first track I ever heard of London Posse was "Live Like the Other Half Do."
That's my favorite. Yeah. That is my favorite track by London Posse.
Oh, right, okay, right. That was the first track I heard of them, and then of course there was Jump Around, and you know, but yeah, absolutely outstanding album, absolutely outstanding, yeah.
So the album's come out a couple of times, and they've added tracks to it and unreleased ones, and added How's Life in London to it and all of that. But this is the original one that I've got here, and it hasn't got any of that on. You know what I mean? And you know, I've just said it. The favorite song off here has to be "Live Like the Other Half Do." I absolutely, the lyrics in it, whatever this, everything they're saying in it, I absolutely love. However, a close second would be the title track, Gangster Chronicle. When you listen to what they're saying and how fast it is as well, I just love the sort of like I don't know if you remember it, but just the way it's a prowler, it prowls. It's like, you know, you can imagine it in a film where somebody's prowling down the streets in a car, slowly driving, and they're looking for somebody. That's the kind of beat it is. It's very reminds me a bit of and I might be wrong, people might kick us and say you're wrong here, but it sort of reminds me a bit of that sort of trip hop, sort of like what they called again? Bristol
Massive Attack.
It's got that kind of do.
Right, okay,
you'll know what I mean. And then Rodney P on his album has got a track very similar, and I can't remember what that song's called, but he's got a one very similar where it's talking about racism and stuff, and it's just which is what that one is as well, Gangster Chronicle. It's talking about he's going to a house and he's going out with a lass whose dad's a racist and his brother's a racist, and just being uncomfortable of being in the house and all of that, and I've lived that, and it's just you know, when you live it and you're hearing it, you think, well, I can identify with that because it
means more to you, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I just love it.
Fair play. Just
everything about it, you know, the cover, you know, we're talking about that. How it's got sneaky little, it's got Rodney reading it, and then it's got, what do you call them, Bionic there? You know what I mean? Go on.
It's a strange cover, isn't it? With hold it up again. Yeah, I've never seen anything. London Posse Bites Dentist.
It's just
what's
weird,
that all about?
Well, it's the gold teeth in it. It's the gold teeth.
Ah, right. Aha, I like it.
And just Rodney's there, and then there's you know, there's the Bionic. Yeah, and I think as well a lot of the time Sippo gets forgotten about, but obviously it was actually his group in the first place.
Yeah.
Mick Jones wanted them to come across to America, and I'm sure people know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. And Sippo asked his mates to come with him because he was beatboxing. He was on the Big Odo Dynamite's Come On Every Beatbox, doing the beatboxing for the Big Odo Dynamite, and they asked him to go along. Asked Rodney and Bionic to go along, and then Billy Business, obviously the DJ. And
didn't he go into drum and bass after all this and stuff like that? He's gone into being.
He did a bit of sort of ragga. He went from into ragga, then to drum and bass. He sort of jungle stuff, and he's been all over the place with. Is it Hyper D and I don't know what they.
It was Hyper D. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think he called himself something Dog, Mega Dog, or Mad Dog, or something like that. That was his sort of his name. And then I didn't even know this, so that's another interesting point as well. So Rodney's the West Indian one, sort of descendant, okay, and Bionic, who used to do all the Cockney chat, all of the ragga chatting, is actually Ghanaian.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's of Ghanaian descent, born here but from Ghanaian descent.
Yeah.
That's why he's been living for all these years. He went back to Ghana and he's been living there.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're talking about accents, but actually he's not actually. Obviously lived in London and was around all of those people. So he chatted on reggae sound systems beforehand, but actually he's not Jamaican. He's Ghanaian by descent.
So I think out of all this, Rodney P sort of the one who's really, I would say, the most got the biggest profile out of all London Posse, isn't he?
He has. But interestingly enough, I always have this conversation. They didn't bring out the second album.
No.
Yeah. It's been leaked and put onto the mega mix sort of on the CD and stuff of this album. Yeah. So when you get the CD and that, so I bought the CD more recently, and they've added songs on How's Life in London and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It should be on the second one.
Yeah, because it's about 3 years later, isn't it? How Life's London. Yeah.
And then obviously Rodney P then brings an album out. He's only ever brought one album out. So when you think about it, one album with London Posse and one album with By Yourself.
Again, it just echoes what we've said earlier, doesn't it? Is the fact that it's just they don't seem to get over that last, onto a second album sort of thing.
But how many 12 inches is he on? He's on a truckload of 12 inches.
Oh, he's always on. Guessing on loads, but but he's got the rhymes though, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he sounds good.
Yeah.
It's a shame that he hasn't come out with another solo album.
I mean, we flew down to, where was it? We went to York just before the lockdown.
York, yeah.
Yeah, we went to York and he was in York. Of all places, strange place to gig, but anyway, we went down there and he was fantastic. He wasn't long enough for me, and he did a bit too much of the drum and bassy stuff for the youngins, which just sends me to sleep. But he just knows how to control a mic. He is a proper mic controller.
Plus he remembered from when because we sort of promoted the Kingdom up here, and we done a little show beforehand.
Yeah.
And he remembered it, and I thought, that's a nice touch. That's nice. Good.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, on this first 12.
Yeah.
He's called MC Roddy Rock.
That was his original name.
Yeah, he changed his name. Yeah.
Rock Roddy.
And controversially, it's produced by Tim Westwood.
It wasn't really, though, was it?
That's the argument, isn't it? I don't know.
Really, it just I think they just put his name because he was known money.
When it first, I think.
Because Justice label.
He had the Justice label as well, Tim Westwood, and I think he brought a London Posse record out on there as well.
He did, yeah. I've got a record by them with it on. Yeah.
But he must have been rolling with them for years and years, because they're on that early UK Bad Name Good. They're on that with him.
Yeah.
But I saw them years and years later at a Southport Weekender, and Tim Westwood drove them up to the Weekender. So they've been together for a while, but now they're just
but apparently Westwood thought he was a crap rapper and his voice was rubbish.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
Really done it. Idiot. Yeah. Absolute idiot.
He is.
Gets no love in this house.
Is that right?
Pestwood gets no love in this house at all. He's a fool. He did a lot at the start, but he's just like, he needs to just give over himself. And again, we've talked about it a lot, but he's another one that's been sort of like dragged into sort of like being sort of like a sex offender, and that's been real with him as well, you know. Sad, you know, all of these people that you sort of like used to look up to and stuff, and then you hear all this stuff about them.
Yeah, and then obviously you bring they bring the Kingdom out, which is three brilliant MCs together.
Yeah,
and it's such a shame. I'm hoping that they've recorded stuff before Ty, R.I.P., passed away. But
do you think they're going to carry on, Rodney and Black?
They could easily add a third MC.
Yeah,
another MC,
or just go out as a duo.
They could. There's lots of things I suppose they could do. I know, obviously, stuff I probably won't talk about now, but I know I had some conversations where things were planned, but it is what it is. Just enjoy the music. I mean, you know, Black Twang has just brought another song out with Dirty Goods, which is fire.
Yeah.
I know Rodney P's planning on bringing an album out, which he said to us. So obviously they were using that to sort of launch what they were going to do. And I dare say Ty was probably doing stuff as well. You know what I mean? The stuff that they were doing. Collectively also was going to help bring stuff out as well, you know. So let's just hope they bring some good music out and just, you know, like, we can't bring stuff back. It is what it is. It's my belief. Let's just hope they've still got some good tunes coming out, you know.
Excellent.
What else can you say?
Fantastic. Well, kicking. Absolutely fantastic albums. Really, really good.
Good choices.
And also, the choices were great, but also you introduced me to an album which I didn't know, which is brilliant. Which is what I like about all this, is the fact that you know, you might have heard, you know, the last ones you did with was it Dickie? You did them, and there was a couple of stuff that you didn't know. Which is, you know, this is what I love about this favourite five, is the fact that you get to learn what other people have been listening to all these years, and I think it's wonderful. So really enjoyed it. So fantastic choices.
And that's the most important part. It's like, watch these podcasts, or whatever you want to call them. Watch these shows, podcasts. If you don't agree with it, you can prove it wrong and say what was better. But also go and check them out yourself. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. It's not always easy, because a lot of this stuff's so good, but it's not on. You know, we're talking about doing a Spotify list, but a lot of the stuff I picked you can't put on Spotify, because you can't put a Spotify list. It's not on there. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, maybe we're going to have to do we're going to be doing, does a Monday night show, and you can be playing some of it on there, but also me and John are going to be doing like once a month mixtapes on Try Radio, where we're going to put stuff together. So maybe we'll start putting stuff together, what people have said, and, you know, because some of it's not singles, some of it's off albums, so we'll just have to put those songs out on the mixtape and say, you know, this is volume 1, this is volume 2, and credit the people that put it out there.
I like the choices. I really like the choices, but I'm surprised that you maybe didn't have at least one really fast, hardcore one, because if you're training, you're running, you're boxing, obviously, and I know that you do listen to them when you.
I do when I train.
Your gunshot. Yeah. Your Son of Noise, your Hard Noise.
But the reason why I picked what I picked is because there were times in my life. So if you watch this back, you'll see my eyes light up, and you see how excited I get when I'm talking about going down to London, because that's my second home.
Totally.
South London's where most of my family live. It's not the only part of London that my family live in, but it's the main part. So it's where my two sisters live. It's where my mum lived until a year ago, God rest her soul. So, you know, getting off the tube at Brixton, I'm just like, it's my second home. The smells of Brixton Market, it reminds me of nipping across the road through the traffic to go to Red Records, because that's where I got a lot of my stuff from. Do you know what I mean? Going into the market stalls and getting the CD, the hooky CDs and the hooky tapes, going to the barber shops and getting it from there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these places, I was going to shout out somebody there, but I maybe shouldn't shout them out in case they get raided. Getting the dodgy DVDs and the CDs and tapes from there. All of that is just like, these albums represent some of that. They represent the racism that me and my family went through. They represent me going to some of the first UK artists in Newcastle. You know, all of that stuff has memories. I could have said Gunshot. I could have said.
I was going to say we've discussed Patriot games as well. I'm surprised it wasn't there. I'm going to be honest with you.
I've got a couple here that I could have said. You know, if you're talking about substitutes, Patriot games, I could have said.
Go on. You, John gave me the chance. So give me two others which were just on the outskirts.
Ooh, it's controversial, this, mind.
I know. Well, hey, I'm in charge here, so come on.
I'm not going to talk about them too much. Just quickly,
go on.
Ruthless Rap Assassins. This is
in the house.
So this one is it's a DJ album sampler. It's not I got the original one on cassette,
right?
Like the album, yeah. This is an album sampler.
The album somewhere.
And I've got a lot of album samplers because when I used to work on the door, at this place called Chord Winners, the DJs used to get a lot of music sent to them and say, "I can't play this. I heard this, but it's terrible." "Oh, I love that. Thank you." So a lot of hip hop and a lot of like reggae and jungle stuff given to us. So that's what that one is, and it's even got like typed out some of the songs on it as well. You know what I mean?
Nice one. Good substitution.
And then obviously there's that as well.
There it is.
Oh.
Amazing album. Yeah.
So, yeah.
My favourite.
I could have, you know, I could get on and on. Somewhere around there, there's Hijack as well, but they don't have the same memories for me as, you know, you're right. I do like my fast stuff. And people know I like a bit of grime as well, you know, like, you know, especially the train doing stuff or whatever, you know. But those ones that I picked have meaning, and I think that's what it's about. Not always the best. You know, London Posse, I don't like every single. There's some songs on there I would skip now. I don't like every single song on that album, but it's special because they were the first ones to do it in the UK.
And it means a lot to you, which you know, I think that came over when you were talking about it. So yeah.
Music makes memories.
Indeed, very much so. Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Fred. That's been fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed your selections.
Yeah.
Anyone out there watching this, check out the Vinyl Vandals on Facebook, Hip Hop Hotline, and and then we got Riddler every Monday on Try Radio, which is on the Mixler app as well, 8 o'clock on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check them out. Check out Trendy Detectives on YouTube as well.
And
so thanks very much.
Just one more thing, just to say before I go by, is just to say, me and John, another part of the Vinyl Vandals, from now on, end of September, the first one, we're going to be doing We're going to be doing our faves. So the first one's going to be, for those who don't know, 10 years ago, I started something with a couple of friends called Keep the Faith. Like a little sort of like a Northeast record label stuff to put out Roofists to try and get some of the music out that was in the Northeast that was bubbling, that people hadn't heard, and I was obviously again send it down to London, give the taxi drivers and the barber shops again, and kebab shops, and just let them play it. I heard a song by the Delible Kids, which was a friend of mine, super nice, and another guy called Mr. Breeze. They did a song, remix of Britney Spears track, and I got that played in the bar I was working in, and it went down a storm. I was like, "Whoa, this is interesting!" And people used to get in my car, have me pull up, and there's a group from South Shields called Dialect. Shout out to Rick, Sep5, Gaz, Chatterbox, and Peter Max, and they had a song where they did a remix of Chakademus and Pliers song, Murder She Wrote. And they did a sort of like a Geordie version of that, and that went down a storm in the bars as well. And also when I used to pull up in my car, people I thought, you know, there's something in this. Why don't we try and get some of this not so hardcore stuff that some of the guys are doing up here, and try and see if people will listen to it. And for a while it worked. So what we're going to do anyway, it's a 10-year anniversary of that this year. Unfortunately, COVID stopped what I was maybe going to try and do, but we're going to do a mix of just my top 9-10 tunes and John's top 10 tunes from the Keep the Faith albums, which I think was about 6 of them. So we're going to put them together, and then every month we're going to do something different. So some of these may be in there, top 5s may be in there as well. So we're just going to do something different every month.
Sounds great. Look forward to that. That would be brilliant. So nice one. Right. Thanks ever so much, Riddler. Always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, James. Brilliant. Fred. Nice to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Later.
Vinyl Vandals.